You're watching Meet the Movie Press. Today we're going to be talking about Deepwater Horizon, the new Black Panther casting, and Justin Lin directing Hot Wheels.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, Simon.
Hello, Jeff.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm very tired. I've had a very busy week.
Yes.
So my throat is a little bit sort of
Scratchy
today.
A little manlier, deeper.
A little manly, a little deeper. Just hoping I'm not getting sick because I've got a shitload of stuff.
I hope
to
you're not
do.
either, dude, because I'm going to a wedding tonight in Palm Springs.
Nice.
We got a fun show.
Yeah.
We got a
I
fun.
sounded like I wasn't convinced by that. We do have a fun show.
Yeah. You were
I was
questioning.
like,
it.
yeah, do we? Sure?
But before we get to that,
Yeah.
my name, of course, is Jeff Sneider. This is Meet the Movie Press on the Popcorn Talk Network. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheInSneider. With me, as always, is
Simon Thompson. And you can find me on Twitter at ShowbizSimon, Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and on Facebook, this is Simon Thompson.
Are you Snapchatting, by the way?
I'm not. No, fuck Snapchat. I don't get Snapchat. I refuse to do it. I do have a Snapchat account, but I don't do anything with it. I can't work it out.
Yeah, no, I don't understand it either. Well, today we have a cool guest.
Yeah.
We've got Neil Turitz coming back to the show after a long hiatus. Yes,
Busy man.
and we're going to bring him on in a second. I just wanted to, check in, see how the week was. Did you see anything good this week?
I didn't see any of this week's releases.
Oh, you haven't seen Miss Peregrine or
I have
Deepwater?
not seen Miss Peregrine, and I haven't seen Deep Horizon.
All right, so I may be alone in talking about those. We'll save those for the end of the show.
We can talk about box office around that because there's some interesting and I think some slightly disappointing news on both of those.
All right, well,
So
we'll save that for the end. But yeah, lots to discuss today.
Loads of news this week.
It seemed like the agents were back in full force after Labor Day, because there was like a Labor Day weekend hangover that like lasted 2 weeks, and then there was Emmys and
there was kind of a batch of
slow.
batch of no shit Sherlock news over the last couple of weeks.
That's true, but there were some jaw droppers this week, and we're going to talk about them. So let's just bring up our guest.
Let's do it.
Let's just dive right into it. Come on,
Yeah,
buddy.
come on. Jump in.
A man of many talents, including a columnist for the Tracking Board, Neil Turitz. Woo!
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. It's
Nice
been
to
a
be
while
back.
since you were on, right?
There was a time when we used to get an applause cue, but
Yeah, I was actually waiting for that. I was waiting,
That's okay.
waiting for the laugh track to come in, after a funny comment.
no worries.
I was here 2 years ago. Roughly 2
Jesus,
years
we've been
ago.
hosting the show a long time.
Yeah.
And first of all, where can the good folks find you out there?
On the Tracking Board, the website, tracking-board.com.
Yep, don't forget that hyphen.
Yeah, that's important. Also, you can just Google the Tracking Board.
Sure.
And that'll take you there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my column runs.
Oh, okay. So they keep you pretty busy.
I am very busy there. Well, I have an important voice in the entertainment world, so they want it to be heard.
I think you
in this case,
you
read.
write great columns. And your Twitter handle?
Very complicated. It's at Neil Turitz.
All right, TURITZ, folks.
And also important, Neil. Anyone named Neal is not a real Neil.
A Neil Pedant.
Funny story, actually. I was on a ski lift a couple years ago, and this older guy was talking with his instructor, and was talking about Neil this and Neil that. And I said, "Who's Neil?" And he said, "Oh, that's my son." And I said, "Oh, okay. Is it Neil or Neal?" And he said, Neal. And I said, "Well, that's not a real Neil then." There's a long pause. And he says, "Well, he's my son. He's a real person." And the instructor says, yeah, I have met him. He is real. And the fourth guy on the list is, I said, no, it's, I said, never mind. And there's a long silence. The guy next to me, the fourth guy, just goes, ha!
I would never be caught dead in a ski lift because I don't know how to ski.
That would be an issue.
Yes. Why am I in here? Get me out.
Hang on.
Neil, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Portland, Maine.
And how did you get into this crazy business for the folks who haven't been watching for 2 years?
And also who haven't read my autobiography or the movie based on my life. That's
It did well.
it did really
It did
well.
do well. Yeah.
James Cameron directed it.
I know.
I've been a writer my whole life. Grew up as a journalist, wrote for the school paper and the local paper, and in college, and was a sports writer for a while, and decided I hated that.
Wait, what did you cover for the local paper? I'm curious.
I did high school stuff for local
Like
paper.
sports, you mean, or like
Sports and some, wrote some features about high school, other people in Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Sounding very much like the Peter Parker story.
Are you Spider-Man?
Just gonna say.
So how,
Just
like,
gonna
how,
say.
how'd
It's
you
called a
get,
secret identity for a reason, Jeff.
and how did you get into like the entertainment journalism of it all?
I found I hated sports writing after doing it through college and everything. And I got a job at Us Magazine in 95, beginning of 95, and found that, I love movies. I love TV. And writing about it was much easier and much more fun. And I didn't have to spend nearly as much time in locker rooms.
Sure. That
Which is a
sounded way
bonus.
more dubious than it was meant to, but obviously you were sports writers, so that was fine.
And you wrote for Studio System for a while.
I went here and there, also became a filmmaker, have done some stuff there, and have bounced back and forth, and then became a senior editor at Studio System News.
Okay.
And as that is in the process of folding, I was connected to the tracking board as they're expanding. They're really trying to there's a lot of big news coming from the site over the next few months. They really wanted to establish themselves as a news breaking force. In Hollywood.
they have the contacts.
Yeah, and what they realized what they needed to really legitimize themselves was to have a voice. So that's where I came in.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
It's
and
interesting.
It's worked out really well. Like, I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
It's interesting that you guys both have a production background.
Yeah,
That is interesting.
Yeah, you guys could team up,
maybe we could.
We could, yeah.
co-produce a show. All right. Well, you're gonna
We'll talk
help.
about that after.
We shall do.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna help us talk a little bit about the news. So where do you want to start, buddy? Anything stand out to you this week?
I really like talking about this Hot Wheels thing because I saw your tweet about it, and
So,
I almost
yeah,
tweeted back to you
okay.
saying
People,
that's
people have been
green.
asking if we're going to cover that off,
Yeah,
so
I really
let's,
wanna
let's
talk
kick
about
off
We'll
that
just
down.
dive in. So here to recap, Justin Lin signed on to develop, produce, and direct Hot Wheels for
Yeah.
Legendary, and I tweeted something to the effect of like, does he care anymore? I mean, he could have done anything after these Fast and Furious movies. He had, the world on a string, and he chose to do Star Trek 3, Space Jam 2, and now Hot Wheels. And I just thought he'd like stop challenging himself and growing as a filmmaker. Because he had a voice with Better Luck Tomorrow, his debut.
Which is a terrific movie.
Yep.
And I totally and then Shannon and Swift chimed in, these big screenwriters, and it's like, yeah, you're right. I don't know what the take is. Maybe it's brilliant. Maybe it's super original, and he couldn't turn it down. Maybe the money was too good to turn down. I don't know. I just wanted to see him do a little bit more with his clout. Where do you guys stand on it?
Here's my take. I think I agree with what you say. I think that's a totally legitimate point of view. But I'm thinking that what he's being seen as right now in the industry is potentially a safe pair of hands, kind of like a cheaper J.J. Abrams when you want to look at a film that you're going to potentially turn into a franchise. So if they're looking as a studio to make Hot Wheels a franchise, they want a safe pair of hands with someone who's dealt with successful car movies, who knows what he's doing, whether it's from the point of view of just shooting the movie or to putting all the the meat and potatoes in there. I think he's just seen as a safe pair of hands. I agree with you on your viewpoint 100%. I think it's kind of a lazy and an easy option and a bit of a waste of his talents. But if you're a studio and you do want to look at it as a franchise, he's a safe pair of hands.
Neil?
I agree with that. I agree with both of you, but my take is if ever there's a moment where you become a filmmaker of import, that the studio is going to listen to you, that you would develop. You said it yourself in your tweet, that the idea of developing power as a director. There is so little original content out there. Everything is a remake, everything is a spin-off, everything is an adaptation. I mean, I've written about this. The fact that there are something like, starting October 1st, 15 movies coming out that are original content, that are not based on an IP of some kind. That's an unbelievably small number. And if you're someone like Justin Lin and you have built up all this goodwill in the studios and made all of this money, and they say, what do you want to do next? Well, I'd love to do Hot Wheels.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me a guy like this who began with such an interesting movie. Better Luck Tomorrow is terrific. And if it were me, I would say, I've been really wanting to tell this story about this.
Right.
And he didn't take that swing. Maybe it doesn't have anything more to say.
But we know
I don't
also-
know. Maybe you're right. But to me, it seems like if ever you have an opportunity to do something important, this would be it.
But also a lot, we know very well that a lot of directors in the industry, they do, a studio film which enables them to then do that movie.
It's
that they,
one-
the
But
He's
story
not
they
doing
wanna
that,
tell.
is my point.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
how many Fast and Furious
The
did he
one
do?
for them, one for me strategy.
That's right.
He
Which
could
is
be-
great.
He could be stockpiling those favors though
That-
doing these
that's
movies.
true.
True, but at some point, if one of these becomes a massive failure, suddenly that cachet he's built up immediately is cut way
Well,
down.
that's the thing. He just did Star Trek 3,
Yeah.
which was a huge flop. So maybe he didn't have a lot of choices. Maybe he couldn't get financing for that passion project, and so he has no choice but to go back and try to reestablish that cred by doing a big blockbuster.
Why don't we get him on the show and ask him?
Justin Lin, if you would like to come on and discuss this, please.
Call in. Can we call? Can you do calls in here?
Sure. What's
Yeah,
the
we
number?
do.
424. I don't know.
But no, I mean, I think they're all totally valid viewpoints, and you know, you got quite a bit of stick on Twitter this week for it. But I don't think your points were unfair.
Shannon
at
and Swift
all.
said it was a cheap shot, and I don't want to say that it was. Maybe it serves as a wake-up call. Maybe he starts questioning, like, why aren't I doing something a little bit more personal? To me, it was also that he did Fast and Furious, and now he's doing Hot Wheels. It's the same thing.
Well, that was the other thing that I found curious.
Yes.
I was going to say, well, we know he's good with cars.
It's like, okay, do another blockbuster, sure, but Hot Wheels, you've made how many of these movies already? It's the same thing. I don't know the take, so maybe it'll blow me away, but for some reason, I suspect it won't be winning Best Original Screenplay. And the phone number, Justin Lin, if you'd like to call in, is 424-253-0504. Anyways, Justin Lin, who am I to judge? I'm not his agent, whatever. I get that argument. Shannon Swift said, you don't know this industry from the inside. I'm looking at it from the outside.
But you're the
I
insider.
am the Sneider, though, guys. So
I think
What am I missing?
all of the arguments that are being presented from both inside and outside, I think, are totally valid. I don't think anybody's made points or have an opinion that is completely off the mark.
it's not going to be his next movie. Apparently,
No.
so maybe I always want to see him do the L.A. Riots movie that he was developing.
Yeah,
thought that would have been really interesting to have an Asian filmmaker, make a movie. Not a white director or a black director, but someone kind of in the middle, so to speak. I mean, that's a terrible,
Okay.
It's a weird thing to say, but someone. An Asian filmmaker on the L.A. Riots movie would be very, very interesting.
That's how I'm going to start referring to Asians from now on.
Somewhere in the middle.
Not black nor white, just kind of somewhere in the middle.
And not nonpartisan, whatever.
But wasn't he also for a while attached to Masters of the Universe?
I have no idea.
Wasn't there a point where
I don't
he
know
was
if that
attached
was
to
ever
that?
true.
I mean,
That's
that
certainly
passed
a
through
step up.
everybody's.
That's a good decision for Justin Lin to run away from that. I'm just saying this guy is talented. He is not just a gun for hire kind of guy. I didn't think that he was a gun for hire. A McG, if you will.
Yeah.
I thought he was better than McG, and he's making McG choices. That's what I'm trying to say. All due respect to McG. I know you like the guy. He's a super nice guy. I'm looking forward to The Babysitter.
Being a nice guy doesn't necessarily mean you make great movies. We know that.
Yes.
You could be a nice
All
guy
right,
and make
let's
shit.
move on from Justin Lin.
Okay, cool.
Let's talk about Winston Duke.
Yeah.
Being cast as M'Baka.
Yes.
If I'm pronouncing that correctly. A.K.A. Ape Man.
Yes.
In
Is it Ape Man or
Marvel's
Man-Ape?
Man-Ape.
Man-Ape.
Jesus Christ.
I don't think it's Jesus Christ.
It's not Jesus.
I don't think Jesus Christ is in Black Panther.
Man-Ape in Marvel's Black
Twist.
Panther. Winston Duke, guys.
Is he the adopted son of Randolph and Mortimer Duke?
Nice. I like that.
The Dukes of Hazzard reference. It's very up to... The kids will really appreciate
Dukes of
that.
Hazzard.
I've always said we don't have
The
enough
Dukes of Hazzard.
trading places.
Yes, the trading places, you
Yeah.
idiot.
We don't have enough trading places jokes on the show.
Thank you. There are never enough trading
That's right.
places.
I know.
You
Just
said
in
that
life.
before the show, too.
And you-
Dukes of Hazzard, Randall Duke, fucking... I don't know. It's early. It's early, and it's Friday, guys.
And the blank look on your face was consistent with
I
the
feel
one
like
before
there's
the show.
always a blank look. Trading places, guys. Catch it if you haven't, like I.
Sorry, Winston
we
Duke.
got us off topic. Winston Duke,
Duke.
Black Panther, Man-Ape. This seems like a problematic name to me.
What, Man-Ape?
Yes. Can
Yeah.
you have a character named Man-Ape in a movie called Black Panther?
In this day and age?
Yes. I think
Apparently you can.
or is he going to go by something else? I mean, I don't
Dave.
know. They're changing his name to Dave for the movie.
Dave the man.
Oh, shit. Dave's coming.
I'm not familiar with this actor, really, Winston Duke. I guess he's on Person of Interest, and I got some tweets indicating that people were pretty pleased with him on that show. Are you surprised they didn't go with someone more established? I mean, to me, it sounds like he's sort of going to be Michael B. Jordan's right hand.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that they've gone with someone who is up and coming rather than already established. I think they have quite a few big names in it already, and I think they want to fill with new, fresh, establishing talent rather than established. And I think we're seeing a bit of a trait for that across some of the new Marvel movies.
I agree.
I think also, we're talking about diversity regularly in the industry, and one of the things that we've said previously is the fact that there's a lot of young, non-white talent that is just ready to come up, but there haven't been the spaces, and things like Black Panther are a really good chance to bring this talent through.
That's true.
And then go on to other projects. So I think
this is going to be huge for this guy, Winston
Massive,
Duke.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's huge for everybody. I mean, it's huge across the board. It's a huge opportunity for Marvel. It's a huge opportunity for everybody in it. I mean, it's the first instance of this kind of movie we're seeing across all of the superhero films. I mean, I think it's a great step that they're actually doing this. That we get to see Chadwick Boseman and team, running with this. I mean, I'm actually I'm genuinely excited about this movie. And I love Ryan Coogler. So
yeah, exactly. Ryan Coogler,
Creed and Fruitvale Station are both terrific movies.
Yeah. I completely agree. I'm excited to see what he is going to do. But over in the another corner of the Marvel universe, did either of you stay up late last night?
I did, but not related to what you are talking about.
That's right. Did you? I guess not, Neil. I guess you guys both left the show hanging.
I'm still on New York Times.
I stayed up till 1 a.m. because I watched Luke Cage.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fucking badass, man.
I heard really, really good things about it.
That's what I've been hearing too.
Yeah,
I heard it's
really
I
really
really liked it. It's just, it seemed different. The music was amazing. It may have been the best music I'd ever heard in a TV show.
Wow.
There were just like 3 or 4 different times I brought out Shazam and started
Really?
Shazamming shit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only person that does that. I do that on a regular basis
yeah,
when
I
I
do
have stuff
too.
in movies.
No, I do too.
All the
All
time.
the
I do
songs
too,
I
yeah.
listen to are from film and television.
I actually knew they were going to get it right when they cast Mike Coulter.
Yeah, he's
Because
really
when
good in that
there
role.
were 3 or 4 guys that were the finalists, and I knew Coulter from The Good Wife. Mm-hmm. And once I saw his name, I said, "Oh, he's the guy."
Right.
And then they announced him, and I said, "This is going to be good." And I'm glad to hear it is. I'm going to be watching it over the weekend.
It's interesting seeing a show start, okay, where you already know the character.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he's so good in Jessica Jones.
Right. But it's like you only saw him in certain context in that show. He's either like behind the bar or like help rescuing her or whatever.
Or
and
fucking
now
her.
you just see like and now you just see the other what he's doing with the rest of his time almost. And that world and Mahershala Ali. I just learned how to pronounce that, by the way.
It's Mahershala.
Yeah,
I've always wondered
I've always
that too.
done
I love his
Mahershala,
work.
but it's Mahershala. I believe.
Mahershala. I like his work a lot, so it's good to know.
I mean, he's
When
going
I
to be
see
he's
him-
going to be an amazing villain.
He's a really nice guy as well. I interviewed him for Free State of Jones a few months ago, and he's a really really interesting man, just as someone to talk to. So
yeah.
I hope we see a lot
think
more of him. He appears to be really doing very well and being cast in a lot of things.
He's
right
been
now.
everywhere.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
huge, and he's great in Moonlight coming out.
Oh, I can't wait to see Moonlight.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't love it as much as maybe most people, but it was very good.
Well, I thought he was great in Free State of Jones, but just nobody saw it. We were talking about STX earlier. It's just
Right.
that film
I
just
knew in
fucking
Place
disappeared.
Beyond the Pines that he would be amazing and go on to big things. That's
I
right.
knew when
Oh
he
yeah,
was
he's
born.
great in Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah,
Okay, so that was sort of Marvel.
yeah.
What else did we get this week?
John Favreau
That's right.
directing
Oh my God.
live action The Lion King. A
the
lot of people
circle
got
of
very
life.
excited about this.
Hakuna
in
Matata. Or something.
various, yeah, it means no worries.
Okay, that's
For
it.
the rest of your days.
But no, a lot of people got excited about this in very positive and negative ways. There didn't appear to be any indifference on this. A lot of people were like, "Oh, my god, that's amazing."
You took a side.
Well,
What
yeah,
side do you fall on? Because I fall on utter travesty. Go.
You see, that's where I'm swinging, but I'm also there's a niggling little side of me that's like I really like what he did with the Jungle Book, so I would like to see it, but I think it could be a bit too much like the Jungle Book, and I've already seen it, and we're
Neil?
having a second Jungle Book.
I really
Two more Jungle Books, really.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Jungle Book earlier this year.
Me
I
too.
thought they
It's
did a
great.
terrific
I was
job,
very
and
surprised.
I was stunned at how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really liked it a
Top
lot.
10 for me still, I think.
Yeah,
If I
it's
check
a
my
really good
rankings.
movie.
Nice.
And everything about it is great. I walked out and said, "Boy, that was fantastic."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say something you both may find a little sacrilegious. I don't like the original Lion King.
Yes, Get Out.
I am not a fan of the movie.
What?
I just, I don't. I remember seeing it and saying, meh. It looks
That's
great.
crazy, Neil.
I know. Well, I'm older than you are. And maybe perhaps because
What
I'm
is
jaded.
what is your favorite Disney animated
Donald
movie?
Trump argument.
I'm not talking about Pixar. What is your favorite Disney animated movie, if not The Lion King, which is to me is
I prefer
clearly the best.
certainly of the last 30 years. Are we talking about or all time?
Go all the way back. I don't give a shit.
Good question.
I mean,
I like Beauty and the Beast a lot.
Beauty and the Beast is terrific.
I
That's
like
probably
Beauty and
number
the Beast a
2.
lot. I like. I mean, growing up, I loved Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And, some of the others. Like,
What about Hercules? Because for me, that's a massively underrated
Really?
Disney animated movie.
Interesting.
That has
I like Hercules
Yeah.
fine. I wouldn't put it up there way up at the top. But
Okay.
it's a
Mermaid
fine
and
movie.
Aladdin.
Mermaid. Fucking love
Mermaid's
Little
great.
Mermaid.
Mermaid's great.
Yeah.
And Aladdin is great because of Robin Williams. He makes
Right.
that movie. But I was underwhelmed otherwise by that. I think Beauty and the Beast is probably way up there. And I don't love. I saw Lion King a second time. I was like, I missed something. And I walked out the second time. I said, yeah, I still don't.
Oh god, that was so like
So,
scary.
and
See,
that's-
I kind of
Well, that's the
agree
thing,
with
though,
you.
is that, but I also was in my 20s when I saw it, and
that's- I guess
so.
that's fair.
That's what I say. I'm
That's
older
fair.
and more jaded than you are, so I saw it at a different time.
Okay, no, that's true.
I mean, Beauty and the Beast for me is a movie that I go back and there's certain things I really appreciate it and I enjoy, but I think The Lion King is a film that I watch more and enjoy watching more. The Beauty and the Beast for me was more about the technical advances, and that we've kind of surpassed that now. So that kind of dazzle isn't there.
I really felt like The Lion King was Disney's Casablanca or Godfather or Gone with the Wind. It would never be remade. I really thought I was naive enough to think that they would never touch this
I've
movie.
always referred to you as being naive.
Yes.
That's actually how I describe you. When people ask me, "What's Jeff like?" I say, "He's really
very
naive."
naive.
I've been working on a story, long before this announcement. I don't want to say what it is. I don't want to tip my hand yet because I hope to publish it soon. It's supposed to be a year-end thing. But I'm just surprised. Yeah, they're going through things pretty quickly over there. The library titles.
What I'm curious about is when they're going to do a live-action Peter Pan remake.
Yeah. God, Peter Pan's been done to death. No more Peter Pan, please.
Or Snow White. No, I think that. Look, I think that to answer the actual question, if anybody's going to do it, I think Favreau's the choice.
I was just about to say that.
I mean, if you're going to do it,
cool with
he's
that.
the guy to hire. I agree with you that it could come off very similarly to the
That's
Jungle
my
Book. I
concern,
feel like he's
yeah.
done it already, but we also, because he's done it already, we know he can do it. So if you like The Lion King, the original, I don't see why this wouldn't be a license to print $1 billion in worldwide grosses.
That's the thing we were talking about that at work. Josh and I were just like, are they just going to have Jon Favreau just direct $1 billion movies? Like that is what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does now. I mean, he's another guy.
But-
He's another guy who I would love to go back and see him make a small movie.
He just
Yeah.
did though. He did Chef, and I want to
Chef,
see
oh, that's
more
right. You know what?
more
You're right.
movies
Absolutely
like
right.
that.
I love Chef. You're right. Totally. My bad. I totally forgot
Yeah,
about
no,
Chef.
it's okay.
I think that's my favorite Favreau movie, actually, Chef.
That's the
I
thing.
really
I
like
love
Chef.
his
I really
small
love that
stuff.
movie,
I
yeah.
think he will continue. He's an interesting guy, and there's soul there. There's a soul. There's conscience. I will see him vacillating back and forth.
Clearly he is. I had completely forgotten about Chef, and that was one of my favorite movies of last year. But I'd like to
Was
see
that
him.
last year?
2014.
Was it 14? Was it 2 years ago?
2014, yeah.
Wow, geez, I lose track of things.
We're getting older, Neil.
Where am I?
But yeah, Jon Favreau,
What was,
Lion
your name?
King.
What was your name again?
Are you my
That's-
grandson?
if they're gonna redo the Lion King, yeah, stick with Jon Favreau because he did a great job.
Talking of Disney remakes,
Yep.
this is someone just mentioned in the chat room and said that the first images of Beauty and the Beast have been put out this morning. Turns out actually it was a leak, and Disney have been very quickly getting people to take those pictures the fuck down. A picture of Emma Watson as Belle leaked this morning, and I'm just looking at bleedingcool.com, and they've had to remove the image, and Stitch Kingdom, another website, has also been asked to take those images down. So I'm assuming that later on today we'll see an official release of those images in the way that Hollywood operates. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing, I think some of the live action remakes of Disney work and some don't. I really enjoyed Maleficent. I know a lot of people didn't. I didn't really fall in love with Cinderella. So I'm just I think it's a little bit lazy for Disney to do these movies.
I'll be honest. I haven't seen Maleficent. I haven't seen Cinderella.
I enjoyed it.
Neither
Cinderella's
I am
fine,
going to see
but
Beauty and the
it's-
Beast.
Yeah, Yeah,
I'm definitely going to see Beauty and the
I
Beast.
have friends that work on that movie, and obviously they're very close to it, but they're just like, this is just going to be one of the best movies of next year.
I also
it's
think
easy $1 billion money.
It's easy. It's absolutely is. It's also coming out in March.
Yeah.
Which means that there's very little competition, and I like everybody who's in it.
Yeah.
I really like everybody who's in it.
You see, I'm quite surprised they haven't pulled it forward because word about that is so strong. I did think they might try and get that out to try and get some award nominations.
I don't. Yeah,
Because I can see best song, costumes, that kind of thing.
The problem is Fantastic Beasts, I think. It's just such a huge anchor there in the middle of it's mid-November, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's tough to and then Rogue One is December. Where do you put it?
So you would, because I could see
Where
that
would you
as being
put
a
it?
very strong February.
February.
I would have steered clear of January, but I would have gone for February, especially around sort of Valentine's.
See, I disagree.
Tying that in with a love story.
Well, but Cinderella came out in March and it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the time to do it because then you have. Is there a superhero movie coming out at the end of March this year? Or
There's
the next
so
one
many.
is,
I'm sure that there is.
Yeah, probably.
because the next one is what? Guardians 2 is the first weekend of May, right?
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man's July, Wonder Woman's June.
Yeah, summer now starts first weekend of May.
Right.
It's like, get the fuck out of the
Well,
way,
it feels,
Easter.
feels like the last couple of years there's been some kind of superhero movie coming out, but there's no.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that whatchamacallit,
March.
that Beauty and the Beast has
Yeah.
March
Yeah,
all to itself.
I think
so.
March is a good call
And
for
it's
that.
it's in the Cinderella spot.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Film nerd Jamie's saying he doesn't think that Fantastic Beasts is going to pop like everyone assumes. I think he's partially right there. I think it's going to have very, very strong, and I think it's going to have a strong 4 to 6 weeks, and then I think it's going to tail quite quickly.
Well, once Rogue One comes out,
Yeah.
I mean that'll be the end of that. But if it has 6 good weeks,
Yeah.
that's $350-400 million.
Yeah. I think
And
internationally
that's domestic, which means that'll get it over $1 billion.
Well, I think also
worldwide.
you're looking at sort of Asian markets as well for that. I mean, I was in Universal
mean the
Studios yesterday.
in-between markets?
The in-between markets.
That's terrible. That's going to come back to haunt me. I'm just I'm seeing into the future.
Yeah, but I mean, yesterday at
My
Harry
point was
Potter,
noble and valid on that, just to be clear.
absolutely rammed with people from the Middle East and Asian countries, China, Japan, etc., Korea as well. I think we're going to see really strong growth in those markets for Harry Potter this year. And I think that's going to be something that I think even if domestically it starts to tail after 4 or 5 strong weeks, I think that's going to be the market that's really going to carry it on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's my point. But I think that if it, how much did it cost? $180 million?
What?
Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, sure. That sounds right.
I look at you for these things. I assume that you know
everything.
that.
I don't.
so
I don't.
naive.
I don't know budgets, but budgets were actually one thing I could never really get at the trades.
Okay. In any event, whatever it is, I mean, if it's out for 300, if it's out for 6 weeks before it starts to tail off, that's a lot of domestic money it's making.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's anything else out there that's going to be a real hardcore
I think
competitor
pre-sales
to
for
it.
it are going to be really, really strong.
Doctor
Guys,
Strange, maybe.
Guys, we're talking about pre-sales on stuff.
It's valid point. I raised that.
I'm just saying we got to keep this train moving.
Cool.
And
Oh,
so
speaking
let's
of
move on to the next
speaking of trains,
I see what you
See?
did. Ho, ho.
Orient Murder on the Orient Express got a brand new.
That link was deleted.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off. It's just like, man, we're
How
talking
long have
about
you been
pre-sales.
desperate to get that
I'm
fucking
glazing
train
over
gag
right now. Oh, Murder on the Orient Express. Johnny Depp, Michelle
Yeah.
Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah. Judi
Kenneth
Dench.
Branagh flexing his muscles.
Yeah.
Is he's directing too?
He is
Yeah,
directing,
Lucy
And he's also
Boynton,
playing
Derek
Hercule Poirot.
Jacobi,
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena.
Jacoby.
Huh?
Jacoby.
Jacobi. That's right. It's right. Derek
Derek
Jacobi.
Jacobi.
Derek Jacobi.
Just like we now know. We now
Make it
know how
sound
to
like a
pronounce
Nigerian
Mahershala.
prince.
Make fun of me.
We now know how to pronounce Mahershala Ali.
fine.
We also know how
I
to pronounce
can't.
Derek Jacobi.
I must make sure to have some meowness on my
Michelle
sandwich today.
Pfeiffer.
It's an interesting cast.
Yeah.
It's very easy to watch. Really nicely assembled, that cast.
Very British cast.
Very British, yeah. Which I'm not entirely surprised about. The only thing that concerns me about that is if Johnny Depp does go ahead and join the project, whether he's going to try and do a terrible British accent. Because his track record for doing British accents is not a strong one. That is not his strongest game.
Really? I thought he was British.
Well, yeah, I think he thinks he is partially, but he's very much not. I think it could be very, very interesting, and I do like Branagh as a director, and I think with that cast, it's just going to mesh.
I
very,
just
very
like
easily.
that Agatha Christie is coming back, like mysteries. Morton Tildum's developing another,
Yeah.
and then there were none.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of competing Agatha Christie movies, like biopics about her missing days, where she like disappeared for a week or something.
Right, but that was done already 35 years ago.
Yeah,
with
it was done a long
Agatha,
time ago, but-
and not very well.
Yeah, they're going to do it again though.
Oh, great! Let's keep
There's like
remaking shitty movies.
2 or 3 of those movies in development.
By the way, I just saw somebody posted that Wolverine 3 is coming out in the beginning of March. So
Yes.
there is another.
March
I knew
3rd.
that was missing something. There is another superhero movie in there somewhere. So
There you go.
whoever sent that, thank you.
Yeah, I like where this train is headed.
And I think this is a point that film nerd Jamie's made in the chat, actually, a movie that Johnny Depp audiences will go and see for the first time since 2011. I think that's true. I think the audiences will be drawn to this.
It's probably why he did it.
Yeah. And I think it's a movie that he'll headline, but I don't think it'll be seen as a Johnny Depp movie.
It's not a Johnny Depp film, though, yeah.
Which I think is a good play from him because it's a successful film with his name right up there on the canopy. And it will make him look very, very good. And it will make him look very bankable again at the box office, where he's really suffered in that area for the last 2 or 3 years.
I wonder though, when I saw they were remaking this movie, I said, okay, I get it, but do people care? I mean, really, do audiences care about a movie like this?
No, that's the answer is no.
Yeah. So then, I mean, what I keep coming back to with a lot of these remakes is, well, look, Ben-Hur is a perfect example. I wrote about this,
Right.
and you and I talked about it. Is that never once during the development process did anybody at Paramount stop and say, wait, time out. Why? For the love of God, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Can somebody give me a good answer? Why? Can somebody answer that question? If so, let's keep going. Nobody ever asked that question, and I'm not saying this movie, Orient Express, is on that caliber. But when at the same time, I'm wondering, why are we remaking this? Why are they remaking this movie? What is it about this that they think people are going to be so clamoring
It's
to
the
see?
chance to get a huge ensemble together and do like a murder mystery, which I think are coming back right now.
And there has been a lack of those.
Yes.
You know,
I
and
like a good
audiences think,
murder
"Oh,
mystery as
it's
much as
that."
anyone, but you know, I'm perplexed. I'm perplexed.
I think
I don't quite get it.
it's not just the fact that it's a thriller in the genre. I think the fact that there is a strong story there, and I think audiences really want a thriller with depth rather than kind of throwaway thrillers, which we've kind of had. Films that are a bit more disposable. They do want something with a bit more meat on the thriller bones.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
I like it. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this, whether the general public is or not.
Right, but at the same time, none of the three of us, and I agree with you because I'll see the movie, but none of the three of us are the general public. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not what they think of when they think of making this movie. To
Yeah.
me, it's the idea of, okay, we have an established IP, we have something that people will recognize, but also this is a story that was written, 80 years ago?
Yeah.
And how well is it known by people now? I mean, and the Sidney Lumet film was 74, 73? I mean, over 40 years ago.
Yeah, but isn't that the point, to sort of reintroduce what is considered a classic story to modern audiences?
Fine, I'm not arguing that part, but I'm saying it's like to use it as an as an IP is, to me, it's one of those things where but it's not established to the modern audience. You have to reintroduce it.
Well, I mean, I think that they will obviously update it, and I also think that it could launch a franchise. That's the other thing that I think is going overlooked here.
Do you want to have a Hercule Poirot
Exactly.
franchise?
Like, it's not. I'm not talking about an Orient Express 2, but
No,
yeah,
no, but
exactly.
But Branagh becoming
if
doing
this
these detective
works,
movies?
he could be a recurring thing.
Who's going to play
Like Jack
Poirot,
Reacher.
then?
Like imagine if this
okay.
becomes Fox's Sherlock Holmes meets Jack Reacher kind of thing, like an intelligent kind of
Tom Cruise, Kenneth Branagh. I love Branagh a lot.
Yeah,
but,
no,
he doesn't exactly have the star power.
True.
I don't know that you can have the tagline on a poster. Kenneth Branagh is Hercule Poirot.
What do you think the budget is for this?
It's got to be 9 figures. It's got to be on
You think this is $100 million movie?
with that cast and with that kind of updating it. Maybe not. Maybe
Johnny
it's 50 or
Depp's
60.
quote is down. I bet.
Oh, well, he's probably taking less for that. Sure, but still, I mean,
I think this is a nice
I
mid-budget.
was
You
going to
think
say
50 or
about
60?
60.
60 to even as high as 80. But I think.
well, if
this
it's 80,
is-
it's not so far off of what I said.
That's true. Anyways, let's move it along.
So naive.
What else do we got?
Okay.
Let's talk about Viola Davis briefly.
Yeah.
Love Viola Davis.
So she joined Steve McQueen's
Yeah.
movie Widows.
Yeah.
And then the Fences trailer also dropped this
Yeah.
week, if I'm not mistaken. Did you guys take a look at that?
I had a quick look at it.
Quick look.
Does that mean you watched it?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I watched it with
watched
one
it.
eye. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's a trailer. Okay, I get it.
I watched
You
it,
know.
but I didn't study it.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, I'd buy a ticket to that.
So, okay, did you think
I
it looked
echo
great?
those- I echo
thought
that
it looked
statement.
fantastic.
You could come every week. You should move from New York. I like you. It's very, very wise. Very wise.
Did you guys think it looked good?
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to get excited about it. I mean, I will see it, and as we get closer, certainly, it's such a short little thing. I mean, okay, I know the play, I know Denzel's work, I know Viola Davis's work. Of course, it's going to be good. He's a solid director. I mean, it's hard for me to get too charged up about it. But yes, I agree, it looks great. And what are you deleting me from your contact list?
Facebook.
Zoop. I thought Fences looked terrific. It was an amazing Denzel monologue. I think both of them are going to be in the Best Actor and Best Actress race.
Always like to see that.
And yeah, it's nice.
Wait. You don't think that she's going to get awards consideration for Suicide Squad?
I also
because knock me over with a feather.
She could get an Oscar and a Razzie in the same year. No, she wasn't bad in Suicide Squad. It was everybody around her. But yeah, her doing a Steve McQueen movie is pretty cool.
I'm excited
enticing.
about that. I saw that casting. I thought, oh, this is great.
I'm a big fan of his work. I'm a
me too.
big fan of his work as a director. I mean, Shame, that was out a few years ago.
Yep.
Absolutely love that movie. That for me came out of nowhere and just won me over in a way that I was not expecting it to.
Yeah, me too.
Brilliantly
He's
done.
tremendous.
Yeah. He's got a wonderful eye.
Yep.
Two of them.
Which twice as good.
There was a bidding war this week, which kind of baffled me.
Okay.
For a Mindy Kaling, Emma Thompson project,
Yeah.
in which they'd play like late night hosts.
Yeah.
I have not heard about this.
Fox 2000 apparently won it,
Being described as Devil Wears Prada meets broadcast news.
which is a great description.
That's a
like
great
that sounds
pitch.
super interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's like a really big audience for this. Normally there are bidding wars for like White House Down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think this
And look
is.
how that turned out.
I think it's an interesting subject matter, and the pitch, the elevator pitch for it, as I just described, is very strong. I think a lot of people go, ooh, yeah, interesting. And I think the two of them together will work very well. So if the project was pitched with them attached to it, I think it would just be interesting and very different to what is currently out there. I think also if they're looking to have it as something that's skewed towards a female audience, there's not a lot of stuff out there at the moment that is skewed towards that demographic. They're both very likable. It ticks a lot of boxes. And I think it could be something that could be very interesting. Won't take a huge amount of money to make. The returns on it could be very
It's interesting you say
substantial.
that, because I actually wrote about this earlier this year, is that if there's one thing the studios have to keep learning year after year after year, they keep forgetting, is that women like going to the movies too.
Yeah.
And that in fact, they're a bigger audience than you would think, because they're constantly bringing their boyfriends and husbands along, who will go to see these movies that aren't necessarily for them if it means they might get laid afterwards.
Yeah.
And Bad Moms is a perfect example of that. It cost $20 million. It made, I think, 150 worldwide.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest film STX has released.
Yeah.
So the fact that they need to the studios need to keep being reminded of this is baffling to me, because every year there's another one. Trainwreck, which I didn't like.
No.
I saw last summer it was up in Maine visiting. The whole family was there. I saw it with my sister and sister-in-law, who are both early 40s. We walked out and they said, "What'd you think?" I said, "Eh." And they were like, "Oh my God, I loved it. It was so great." I was looking at them saying, we saw clearly saw two different movies. But that's the whole point. For something like this, of course this is a good idea, because it goes after that female demographic that is constantly ignored.
Here's the thing, though. I think Bad Moms, Bridesmaids,
Yeah.
those are like kind of crass comedies, okay? This is like a kind of intelligent...
Trainwreck's crass comedy.
Well, this
yeah,
is
exactly.
No, I'm agreeing. Yeah, you're right.
So this is sort of a little bit more intelligent and highbrow, and like look at something like Morning Glory, which had huge stars,
Yeah.
McAdams, Harrison Ford. That didn't do any business. I just
Did you
don't
just
know.
put Rachel McAdams in the same level as Harrison Ford for star power in the same sentence?
I think she's a bigger star than Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson, at least on the big screen. I don't watch Mindy Project. I loved Mindy Kaling on The Office. I don't watch her show. She is going to get a little bounce off of the Ocean's 8 movie.
yeah.
So maybe they think that that's going to lead to a big things for her on the big screen.
Could be. I also think that you have, while you're right about the crass the crassness that goes
That
into
seems
these other
to be what
movies,
works.
But there's also an intelligence. Bridesmaids is also a smart movie, and I think
Yeah.
that while Trainwreck doesn't do it for me, there is an intelligence behind it.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
I think that maybe they're going for something, and we don't know what this thing is yet. There may be, if it's two
That's
talk
true.
show hosts.
I don't know the tone of the script or
Right,
anything
if there's two
like
talk
that.
show hosts, they could go head to head. They could go at war to each other. So who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's the idea of, okay, let's develop more content like this, because
Yeah, that's cool.
it seems to be there's no ceiling for it at the
I
moment.
think
No pun intended.
certainly with for the female demographic, this would sit in somewhere in the middle between what is currently available for the female audience. There's the things like Bridesmaids, etc., and Bad Moms, and then you've got the traditional female-focused rom-com type movies, and I think there is a demand in the middle. Let's call it the Asian area, where because they're in the
terrible.
middle, right, Jeff?
I'm for the LA riots. I'm saying LA riots movie.
I think there is something in the middle that isn't currently being occupied by any studio, and there's still this gap there, and I think this is very nicely going to slip into that.
Ghostbusters was a failure, but Ghostbusters was a failure because they spent $150 million making the movie. If that movie
Yeah.
is made for $60 or $70 million, then it's a hit.
But I think also that from that point, very briefly, I think there's the fact that Ghostbusters, part of the problem was the fact that there were too many people who did not want it to succeed.
Well, there's that too, obviously.
So,
well, segue alert.
oh,
I love
We're
a
going
good
to
segue.
move
Choo-choo,
from,
motherfucker.
speaking of female-driven films,
Yeah.
there's another one with two juicy parts for women that I got to break last week.
okay.
Julia Roberts is
Yeah.
going to play the PTA mom at the center of the LA Times story Framed. Now, I misreported this at the time because the deal does not actually involve rights to the LA Times series
Okay.
Framed. Did either of you read that, by the
Yeah,
way?
it was great.
I was aware of it. I didn't read it.
Simon,
I read
it's
it.
amazing.
Fantastic.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
absolutely leave right now. Read it. And then
see
come
it.
back.
So this project is
Jeff
technically
and I'll-
based
Jeff
on.
and I'll finish up.
It's
naive.
technically based on the PTA mom's book.
Yeah.
So I mean, it has the full story, but I would imagine the framed rights to eventually become part of this because competing projects on that sounds a
Sure.
little ridiculous. Either way, Julia Roberts is going to play this PTA mom, perfect life, perfect everything, who one day basically gets charged with drug possession, and she got framed by a classmate of her child's parents who are both lawyers, and it was this whole intricate thing, and it was amazing.
It is amazing.
What did you think of that casting? Would you have rather have seen her play the Jill Easter?
I think that, reading the story, I don't think of Julia Roberts when I think of that woman.
Right.
I think of somebody who's a little bit more down to earth, a little bit more.
You're talking about which woman? The PTA mom or
the PTA mom.
Oh, okay.
The PTA.
All
mom.
right.
And to be fair, Julia is, as much as I love Julia Roberts, is a little long in the tooth to be playing Jill Easter. Jill Easter is much younger.
Right.
And I think that you want
Sure.
to cast somebody who's going to be younger, hotter, more vapid looking, because that's who that character is.
Okay.
If you're gonna, but part of the appeal of what's the name of the woman who's the PTA mom?
It's Kelly Peters.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Kelly
yeah.
Peters. Part of the appeal of Kelly Peters is how guileless she is. As you're reading the story, she's kind of a somewhat pathetic figure. And I don't know that I would ever consider Julia Roberts to be that. I mean, she's a movie star. And it's tough
Interesting.
for her to play something.
I guess-
and I don't know that I've ever seen her play something like that.
I didn't see the character. I guess I didn't see the character like that. I just sort of saw her as like the perfect mom with the perfect life, and now it's all ruined.
But
She's
the-
like,
but
who
if you
would
read
want
this-
to do this to me?
But if you read the story, it wasn't such a perfect life. She had kind of a nice thing going, but also
That's true.
she had a nice thing going. It wasn't like they were terribly wealthy and they had all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. This is a woman who was capable of being framed,
Mm-hmm.
and right away that should tell you that she's susceptible and guileless. I mean, they did this thinking, oh, we can totally get away with this. We're smarter than she is. We know what we're doing. She will never see it coming. She'll never be able to talk her way out of this. I love Julia Roberts. I don't see her playing that part.
For me, I mean, I still find her extremely watchable when she's in movies.
Yeah, I agree. I love her.
But
Yeah.
it felt a little bit to me like, let's return to Erin Brockovich. Let's have Julia Roberts playing a real life person in a difficult situation.
Well, and here's the
fighting
other
the
thing.
power. And I was a bit like, I would have liked to have seen someone else in that role.
Here's the other thing, is that she's not, unlike Erin Brockovich, she's not the one doing the detective work to save
Yeah,
herself.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
True.
she's more the victim here, whereas in Aaron, she was the crusader.
That's right.
Either way, I'm just very curious to see who they get to direct this movie.
Justin Lin, I hear, is looking for something.
Yeah.
Medea.
if you could get something like either not Gus Van Sant himself, but someone who could capture the tone of Gus Van Sant's To Die For.
Yeah.
A movie in that tone would be really interesting with this story. We have about 8 minutes left in the show. Did you guys see the reviews out of Fantastic Fest of Split?
Yes.
Oh, pumped
Yes.
for that. Sounded really like it went over really well. This is M. Night Shyamalan's new movie with James McAvoy.
Well, people are referring to it as a return to form for him. Now, I thought The Visit was something that was very close to that. I did enjoy The Visit.
Me too.
I'm going to be interviewing M. Night very soon. I haven't seen the film.
I'm jealous.
But it's for a UK film, Mac. But I'm very excited to see it. I do like him as a filmmaker. I really like him. I think
he's a genius.
Aside from that terrible film, which was about the
Airbender, right?
No, I've forgotten about that.
The Happening. Yeah.
Those are the two things.
Lady in the Water.
Yeah, everything else for me
I don't
that
like
he's made has
Signs.
been solid. Really?
I don't like Signs.
I don't love it
because
as
of-
much as most people. But
I like Sixth Sense, and just this week over the weekend, just before I flew out here, I saw Unbreakable again for the first time.
Okay.
What do you-
for the first time
In
okay.
ages.
I was like, did you
I
just
love
watch
it.
Unbreakable
No,
this
no,
week?
no. That's why I was
amazing.
like, I looked over and saw your jaw agape, and I'm like, what?
Okay,
Are you looking
the
at?
first time in a
the first
while.
time in a while I'd seen it, and it holds up. I
It's
think
a
Unbreakable
masterpiece.
is his best film to me.
Potentially, yes.
To me, I think it's his best film.
I may agree.
And I don't think that I've liked one of his films since. To be fair, I have not seen The Visit.
Yeah, The Visit was good.
I have not seen The Visit because it's not
good.
my. It didn't look like my kind of film. I may see Split though because that does look interesting, and the reviews are good. So maybe I'll bite the bullet.
Anyways,
We'll
it
see.
sounds like Blumhouse has another winner on its hands, and James McAvoy gets a big canvas to play on.
I think that part of the secret of the success of The Visit and the good response. You guys both like The Visit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have that right. And that and the positive response to Split is that he's being held in check.
Right, he's
And
working
within confines of a specific
Right.
budget, and he has certain rules he has to follow, and because of that, he's not he's not prone to the bombast that kind of was his problem before, like with After Earth and with Airbender and these other movies that are just god awful.
I want to save a couple minutes just at the end to talk about this weekend's new releases. So we have a couple more minutes for news. Really quickly, Dan, the producers of Bond or someone who works at Eon Productions.
This has come from a guy called Callum McDougall, who was great name.
Yeah.
I couldn't get more Scottish than that. It was Scotty McScottish. He was doing an interview with the BBC, and he was saying that Babs Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are absolutely first choice still. Daniel Craig for Bond.
Good.
I just love like
Babs.
the phrasing. Like I get what they're saying, where it's like we want Daniel Craig back.
Yeah.
But I love it. He's our first choice.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of
Like he
it's
isn't
going to be
Bond
awkward then if
already
he doesn't
now.
come back, and it's like, you know that the person they have as Bond is not their first choice. If Daniel Craig,
yeah.
is
What
their
if they have
first
to get a
choice.
new guy, and he's like, "Oh man, you guys didn't even want me." Just-
awkward.
Yeah, you just want a Daniel.
Hey,
back.
everybody,
Wait, I
our
get to-
second choice.
Wait, I get to be James Bond? All right, I'll sign up.
Yeah.
That's about, I think, as long as that process would take. I still love Craig as Bond. He's one of my, he's up there with Connery as my favorite. I think that the first movie he did, Casino Royale, is the best Bond movie ever.
I think it's my favorite.
Yeah, I really am hoping he's going to come back for one more, at least one more. I really hope he does.
Skyfall was.
I think if he
Skyfall's
does,
really good. And you know what? I'm sorry, but Quantum of Solace, underrated. Wait a second.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
underrated, and if you watch it immediately after watching Casino Royale as one 4-hour movie, it's fabulous.
Okay, that sounds like an interesting experiment.
Yeah, it's worth your time.
I think he's still the favourite because I don't think there's anybody out there that. Loads of names have been discussed, but anybody that's quite right yet to take over from Daniel Craig.
When you and I
So
saw
I think
each
it's
other
by
last
default.
month, we talked about this.
Yes.
Over drinks at
Yes,
downtown.
I mentioned some names,
Yeah,
but I
and
don't
we
know
were-
that I can bring them up yet.
The one, you know what? The
Probably.
one, and his name I keep forgetting, who's also in Beauty and the Beast, Dan.
Dan
Dan
Stevens.
Stevens
Yeah.
would be great.
If it wasn't Connery, if it wasn't Craig, I would really love to see Dan.
Me
Stevens
too.
do it.
Yeah, he was
would be
also
my
in The
first choice.
Guest. The Guest is
Yes.
an amazing movie.
Yes.
I
I keep wanting to say Dan Stern, but that's not him. That's a different guy.
No, he was in Home Alone.
And then let's end the news on the Blair Witch note. What was that?
Yeah, it was a piece that I saw on Slash Film this week, and it was talking about if you haven't seen Blair Witch, you might want to avoid the next couple of minutes. Basically, at the end of the movie,
I'm out.
You literally have 1 minute.
I was going to say, well, that's basically most of the audience. Basically, there's a reveal at the end, and it appears to be the Blair Witch. Now, it's turned out that, in fact, that is not the Blair Witch, which makes me think that if they didn't want to put Blair Blair Witch at the end, that they envisaged this as doing another movie, so a third, really fourth Blair Witch movie. Obviously, with the box office not being particularly strong, 16.5 million, and then an additional 11.5 million internationally, not being as strong as they hoped, and it hasn't performed well. That's just going to be left hanging now. They're just going to leave this where it is, and that's not going to be.
I think it's time to bury the ship, because that movie was a fucking wank, and this piece of news. Also,
did they use that on the poster?
Feels like a wank. So that wasn't the Blair Witch. Like, what are you showing me? What the fuck? This movie was a huge waste of time. A big disappointment.
I think the biggest problem with the film, and I said this to someone this week, I think it would have been potentially a lot more successful if they'd kept the reveal for the day of release. So we didn't know it was a Blair Witch movie until the first paying people went to the theatre. And it was like, fuck me, it's Blair Witch. They should have kept the reveal. They should not have revealed it at Comic-Con. They blew it.
They should have released it as The Woods.
Yeah. And then everybody shit their
they
pants
fucked it up because they're like,
Witch.
we are going to lose money on this.
I don't know why they made that decision. To me, that was like a stupid idea.
That is how you get people in the theater, by hoodwinking them.
Yeah. Hoodwinking.
Jesus. Anyways, we have 2 minutes left, so real quickly, there are two movies. There are three new movies that came out this week. I've seen them all.
Okay.
The best is Deepwater Horizon, which was absolutely incredible. If you love Lone Survivor, which I did,
I like Lone Survivor.
This is a great follow-up from Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg. It takes a while to get going. The shit doesn't really hit the fan until the 50-minute mark, but the movie's only 97 minutes, so it's pretty tight. And that second half of the film is it is incredible.
Didn't do great box office last night. It was quite underwhelming. It's did 860,000, and they're only looking at a 16 to 20 million opening weekend, which is disappointing.
If you're all about the numbers, Simon,
I love math.
If you're all about the numbers, then yeah, it's a disappointment. But as far as the quality of what is up there on the screen, I highly encourage you to see it. I thought it was even better than Sully, which was great.
I like Sully.
I love Sully.
Really
Tremendous.
Sully a lot.
Elsewhere, Miss Peregrine opens, Tim Burton's new movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was just okay. I really didn't care for Asa Butterfield in this movie. I thought he was a big letdown. He was very bland and vanilla.
He says very nice things about you.
Yeah, and the movie just should have been about Eva Green's Miss Peregrine. And then I also saw Masterminds, the Zach Galifianakis, Owen Wilson.
What did you think?
It had some laughs, as the reviews have noted, but it was kind of disappointing. It's just goofy,
Okay.
Anyways, that's kind of going to do it for our show this week. Neil, are you writing any columns or anything? You working on anything?
Yeah, today's column is about the new TV season. That'll be posted on the tracking board shortly, I guess. What time is it now? It'll be in a few hours.
All right.
So this afternoon it'll be up.
And where can the good folks find you?
At Neil Turitz, NeilTuritz, at Neil Turitz on Twitter.
Thank you for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Thanks. I'll see you in 2 years.
That's right. Simon, where can the good folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShowbizSimon, Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and on Facebook, this is Simon Thompson.
And I am Jeff Sneider. You can find my musings over at Mashable.
Yeah.
Got a review of The Girl on the Train coming on Monday morning, so we'll keep an eye out for that one. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe to the Popcorn Talk Network, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter at @TheInSnyder. Have a great weekend, everybody.
And a great Rosh Hashanah.
That's right.
Thanks.
And a Happy New Year to everybody.
Shana Tova to everyone out there listening, member of the
You
tribe.
just met the movie press, kids. Take care.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.